Alright guys, welcome to a little bit of both. Now I want to briefly talk about Dynamite. I didn't do it because by the time I saw it was past 1 o'clock in the morning, like I've said more than a few times, I don't watch them live or when they're aired. I watch the replay. And it was already well past 1. And I thought I was going to do it in the morning, the review. But after looking over my notes, which, got them right here, and thinking about what I saw, honestly, when I saw the show, I'm like, what is the most important thing there? Is Hangman important? No, because they didn't really do much with Hangman and MJF. And they went to Kyle Fletcher. Look, I like Kyle. I do. But did he feel important enough to be going up against Hangman Page? No. He made no sense to be doing that when you should have MJF. But MJF is now working with Mark Briscoe again. And I'm like, unless the contract is going to be put up for grabs for Mark Briscoe versus MJF, I don't care. And it's not because I don't like MJF. And I definitely still love Mark Briscoe. Something about him I love. But unless the contract is going to be up for grabs, don't care. Then, what did I feel with the Fatal 4-Way that was announced between a wonderless, timeless Toni Storm? Wonderless. I just called her wonderless this time. Because she's really, the wonder is gone. She's still timeless, but the wonder is not there anymore. Then you have only one thing that's going for them in that feud. And that is not Jamie Hayter, and it's not Tekla. It's Chris Statlander possibly joining possibly, and I don't even know if she will join the Death Riders. She should, but I don't know. And the rest of the show just felt lost. And I'm like, do I really want to do a review on a 3-hour show where the majority of it is just filler matches, where they're not making Hetrocero mean anything? They're not making any of the people working CMLL mean anything. It just felt bad. And I didn't care about Rio. And I should. That's the reason why I didn't do the review. And I'm sorry this took up almost 3 minutes, but I had to say that. Now, what did we get here with... Let me give you like this. They showed a couple of people we haven't seen in quite a while. We saw ODB, Miss Big Titties. We saw Mr. Anderson, which I'm very happy to see, and I will talk about. Well, as I've said before, and I still mean it, if you look at how the companies have been booking, AEW, WWE, TNA, the one that has done the most consistent wrestling that has been generally good, not great, but good, has been TNA. And when you look at how they've been booking, you wonder, okay, it is obvious that TNA is not getting really the type of rub you think they should be getting. Let's be honest. When are they holding any of the world titles from NXT? Generally, they haven't. They have not held any general titles from NXT. They've held only their own title, and their own titles have been dropped to NXT. So when you look at how things are, and I said this when the collaboration started, wait and see how this is going to be booked. Will TNA get the short end of the stick? In the very beginning, it felt like it. Now the booking did get better. But when you see how things are going, I'm not wrong still. As much as TNA's booking's been more consistently interesting, because they're just doing the same old things in WWE and AEW. We're getting just straight matches with very little story in AEW. And WWE, you're giving us the same repeat matches with the same people the majority of the time with, yes, you have AJ Lee back. Yes, you have him working with a husband Punk. You got Seth and Becky working together. But it still feels constantly a repeat. Then you got TNA, which is not doing the most incredible booking. I'm saying it now, and I will not tell you what you're seeing in TNA is the greatest booking compared to AEW and WWE. No. We are looking at basic booking, just one-on-one booking. Booking a heel, booking a face. Making sure there's some interest in between. Making sure that your booking leads to a conclusion. That's what we're getting in TNA. And I'm like, seeing this, it's mostly a filler show, which is fine. They're still building into Victory Road, which is going to lead to Bound for Glory. Fine. We'll get Victory Road, I believe, next week. I believe that's when it's coming, next week. But when you see it, you're going to say, oh, this show really wasn't much. It's boring. But it's meant to be boring. It's a filler show. It does give us a few things added on to it, so it'll lead to Victory Road, which is still a TNA Plus show. And that will lead us to Bound for Glory. That's, what is it, October 12th. Not far from now. Very close. So what do we get in the opening of the show? We get, let me give it to you like this. You see Mustafa Ali versus a Brian Myers. This is really about, not really about him. Even though they gave a good spotlight to Brian, it's more about Moose. Moose really having this problem with the leader, which pretty much is Moose in the faction of the system. He really is the leader. And then you got Ali, who is the leader of Order 4. This was about those two who are the leaders, and after the match was over and Ali had to cheat to win because Skylar interfered, distracted, what did we get? We get the brawl. We see Agent Zero nose to nose with Moose hit each other. Well, Agent Zero headbutted him here. And then the fight happens. And then we get a match at Victory Road. I believe it's Victory Road. Was it Victory Road? I think it's Victory Road. And it will be a hardcore match. No, hardcore war match. Wait a minute. Hardcore war. I take that back. It's a hardcore match. That's just said hardcore war. Kind of adding on top of what many people are wondering when it comes to WWE. Are they going to do a War Games match? They just use hardcore war. Fine. I'm not surprised they're going to do this. It's alright. Then we get Eric Young versus Icarus. And this isn't about Icarus. It's not about Williams. It's about Eric Young still dealing with Joe Henry. Which, at least it is good to see that Joe is being consistently booked with someone that we know is consistent. You may not always like Eric Young as a heel. Some people, I'm sure, going to say he's been doing the same thing over and over again. He's boring. I'll say, no. It's the same thing, yes. But now he's working with someone who really does need this type of work. He's been the inspiration of TNA. They got to move away from that. So making him work with a much more rough and hardcore wrestler like an Eric Young makes sense. They got to do something with him. If they want to make him harder, they want to change his character eventually, that's the best way to do it. And, of course, Icarus won. But then you wonder, what type of match are they going to give these two? I don't know. Next. The Elegance brand versus and Marsha Slamovich. No. Let's give it to you like this. The Elegance brand versus Marsha and the Inspiration. Do I care? Let me give it to you like this. I was worried that Cass and Jess would fall back on the iconic type of stick. And I'm right. As you've been seeing lately, yes, they are talking more. Yes, they are trying to be more energetic in the ring. The best wrestler between the two is Cass, not Jess. Jess is still an okay wrestler that sometimes looks awkward. But when you start seeing them go Inspiration, that is where the question is going to be, are they going to do that too much? They've already started showing it. They did it once, the first pose. And it's not like it's terrible. But like I said, the last time they were here, they needed to do something else other than the iconic bit. And I heard Cass and Jess on Chris Van Vliet and on the other podcast, they were going to do an entirely different stick. They did not. They went right to the Iconics. And here, slowly but surely, the iconic bit is coming back. Now, do I believe they can incorporate it into something good? Yes, of course. But I am worried they'll go way beyond that and they'll just stick to the iconic bit. And then they're going to be really getting shitted on because they promised they would do something entirely different, and they just went back to Iconics because it's more easy to do than make new characters. That's just me. You guys tell me below. Of course, let me give it to you like this. When you see that Cass won, I believe it was Cass won, and no, it was M who won on Cass, my mistake. M who won on Cass, and it was due to the fact of the ash juice. The ash juice. I'm saying it again. Ash of Elegance juice, which was her champagne. Don't have your mind in the gutter, but essentially it is Ash's juice. Ash's champagne. Ash in a bottle, which is Ash's juice. That is the way they won. So we're gonna have Ash facing Marsha, and we're gonna have M and Heather face the Inspiration. What I'm hoping is that the Inspiration will not be so tempted to just go more and more back to the iconic stick instead of trying to build themselves a little bit more differently than they were 3 years ago and what they're showing now. Iconic? It's the same thing. I'm just saying. Okay. Let me give it to you like this. You see AJZ. I barely remember him. And he was supposed to be Santana's match, but Santana gets laid out. He gets into the ring and complains about it. Santana comes from the fans and just whoops that ass. That's what we do. I'm sorry, I'm a New Yorker. I'm going to say it, even though I can't do it myself. That's what we do. But then, after his nice talk about coming after Trick, you get Ridge Holland coming out. Ridge Holland shows up in TNA. Ridge Holland does a package DDT on what does this mean? So Victory Road may have Ridge Holland with Santana, because he's not going to be dealing with the current champion until after going into Bound for Glory. So you got to have someone to deal with. And I'm like, it's great to see Ridge in TNA, yes. But then it's like, we're seeing Ridge Holland in TNA. And I'm like, what is he doing? Nothing. As I said before, and I still mean it, TNA always gets the lowest hanging fruit. Yes, they will still get the high positioned wrestler like a Trick Williams, who literally is not doing anything. It's not Uber Femi unless Uber Femi wins the title. Excuse me. The question is going to be, how many more low-ranked wrestlers are we going to get in TNA? Don't know yet. Let me give it to you like this. When it comes to Indy Hartwell versus Danny Luna. I know I could have done this earlier, but I want to do it here. When you look at Danny Luna, they're trying to repackage her as a nut, a badass. And when we got the match, and it leads into when the concierge, the Iceman, going to her and saying, look, you're behind the line. Everyone else is before you. Ash is first dealing with Marsha, and Ash will be next dealing with Indy Hartwell. If Ash wins, which she will, you're not going to get anywhere. Take out Indy. You're going up against her. Then you might get her spot. So what did we get? We got a good match. And then we get a chair to the gut, which was a DQ. And then we see Indy get her ass handed to her. And unfortunately, a little bit of Danny Luna was a little more enthusiastic than you think. She whacks her right here in the chin pretty hard with the chair. Of course, it wasn't meant to be like that. She was trying to do it without hurting her, but still, she did hit her in the jaw right here pretty hard with that chair. Even the security almost got their heads taken off when Danny was swinging that chair. I will say this. I am interested in seeing what Danny Luna is going to become. She's been a face for quite a while. She was working with Jody Threat. Now they're turning into possibly the next badass heel that could be replacing Jordynne Grace. Like I said, I've seen Jordynne Grace before she got like this up against Danny Luna. And Danny is like an underdeveloped Jordynne Grace. It's not about her having the muscles. It's about her character development. That is what Dani Luna is. A very early stage Jordynne Grace. The question is going to be, will she be the anti-Jordynne Grace, which would be wise to do. Now, let's get to the backstage segments. The opening of the show. I will say Minneapolis Strong, they're still doing it, and I'm happy about that. Now, I did not see the September 11th recordings. They did that on YouTube, which someone told me they did that. I didn't see it, but I was glad they did it in September 11th. Here, they're still advertising Minneapolis Strong, and 100% of all proceeds goes to the school, the church school. And I'm fine with that. They're still doing it. They're still there. They're still filming. If they have any more left, it's not going to make me angry. Seeing that they are giving proceeds like that. WWE used to do that. They used to do it. They haven't done that much lately. Doesn't mean they won't do it when they want to, if it's going to be good publicity. But I will say when it comes to TNA, they're not trying to make publicity. They're just wanting to do it. Now we see the Rascals having an argument in the clubhouse about who won this. And if you didn't see my Gump Goodness video, Myron Reed is now engaged to Killer Kelly. She got him a ring. She asked, will you marry me? And put it on his damn finger. Nothing wrong with that. They're engaged to be married. She does have a kid with him, so more power to him. But this is a setup for Victory Road, going against a Leon Slater, my boy. Fine. A little bit of smoke to calm everybody down. And then we get Santino coming in because before he came in, they were talking about, you know what, and I think it was Trey who said, you know what I'm saying? We were having some fun. I love you guys. I love wrestling with you guys, but wrestling against you is just as much fun. And Santino comes in, sniffing in all that smoke. He said, what is that smell? He said, let me have that cheese. It's a carrot. What the hell? He thought it was going to be cheese. Seeing that you may have Trey Miguel versus a Zachary Wentz, okay. You may have a Trey Miguel versus a Myron Reed, or Myron Reed versus a, counting on if he wins or not, a Zachary Wentz. It's alright. The question is going to be, will there be any story, or will this just be straight matches? In this situation, it'll probably be straight matches. And there's nothing wrong with having straight matches on the show as long as there's a good amount of stories. I want to make this clear because I know people are going to say, oh, so you don't mind these matches, but in AEW you have it. Well, AEW doesn't have that many stories. They don't. Daniel Garcia turning to the dark side when he should have destroyed Niles McGuinness if he wanted to turn dark. And then you would have had Moxley come to him and say, I knew you were right. I knew you were ready. I knew you were going to be with me. No, you got him turning with Moxley the way he did, which was garbage. It should have been on Niles McGuinness. He should have destroyed Niles after he went through Zack Sabre Jr. and lost. He should have destroyed him there. Then he would have had to build up at least a couple of weeks to have interviews or at least some backstage segments where he's talking to Moxley then. No, we got nothing. They just did it and that's it. At least here, you are getting matches that have some level of story. The King's Court. This is the one that meant the most to me. Mr. Anderson. What am I going to call this video? Happy to see him back. Yeah, there you go. Happy to see him back. Mr. Anderson was asked to come to the King's Speech. I was about to say the King's Court. I think he should have said the King's Court. The King's Speech. He comes in. Wife's in the amongst everybody. I think his son is there, maybe his daughter. He gets in the ring, and it was great to see him. I did see a Chris Van Vliet video about him, how his life was and how he was trying to turn it around. And here, seeing that the service of Mr. Anderson was brought up, that he's an Army reservist, and that they're trying to compare Army with Marine because of Steve Macklin. I was thinking, okay, you're trying to build up the story between Steve Macklin and Kaz. and using Mr. Anderson as a catalyst. Will Mr. Anderson have a moment to wrestle in TNA or not? Because as far as I know, he wrestles still. And it would be great to see him again. I don't know if he'll be joining, but at least it would be nice to see him. You got Kaz poking like he wanted to finger poke a doom to him, and he refused to do it. He grabs him in the face, Mr. Anderson, and then Jake something shows up, which makes sense. He was talked to before. Yes, it should be more than a week, but you did at least get to talk. And then Steve Maclin comes in, destroys whoever he could destroy, and now there's a possibility we're going to have Steve Maclin teaming up with Mr. Anderson versus Kaz and Jake something. I'm hoping for that. I'm really hoping Mr. Anderson comes back, because I wouldn't mind seeing Anderson back for at least a short run in TNA. I'll give it to like this. Was it exciting? It was alright. Was this done well? It was done pretty well, but it's mostly a filler show. But it's still building into Victory Road, which builds into Bound for Glory. I will tell you that. The storytelling here was generally okay. It's still filler, but it's generally okay. But overall, and I'm going to say this again. I'm saying it again. If you look how AEW and WWE are booking, they're either straight matches with very, very little story or build up of any characters. Rio should be built up, and she's not. They're just expecting, because she's a former champion, the first former champion, that's enough, and it's not. Then you look at what's going on in WWE. Yes, AJ Lee is back. Yes, she's working with CM Punk to go up against Seth and Becky. But there's not much there. For some reason, my camera just reset. Just in case you wonder, why was there a cut? But when you look at everything else, what is interesting other than John Cena versus Brock Lesnar? Not much. And understand, I love Jey Uso. I love Jey. But what are they doing with Jey? He should be the new tribal chief, but he's not. He's acting like he's a tribal chief, which is possibly they're going to push him there, maybe as a heel. But the question's going to be, is there anyone else? No. And that's the problem with WWE. They have left the same people in the same spots doing the same matches, and they've not built up anybody else. Because as far as they're concerned, who they have already in positions brings in this, and they don't care about anyone else unless those people get hurt or can't be there. Then they just bring them up, and in a lot of cases, they'll do the same thing. Leave them at a certain point where they make money, and they don't care. But it's just me. Peace.